Hey friends, late night video here. I was watching a movie here. I don't know if you've seen Kookv Miracle, but it's based off a true story. And I love watching movies like that if it's based on a true story. But my whole point of this video is there are so many people that go to so much trouble to basically count out the little miracles that they hear about. It's just like they go to so much trouble to try and not believe something, or they try to try and make up excuses as to why things happened. Why is it that we can't just have faith, and just believe that there is something bigger than us? There is a God. There is a creator. You're a masterpiece. The sun comes up every morning. The moon comes out every night. A baby gets up at a certain age, sometimes 9 months old, 12 months old, and they get up the courage and they walk across the floor. Where does that come from? They got to have faith to do that. You got to have faith to get up and walk across the driveway. How do you know you're not going to fall flat on your face? You got to believe in something. You got to believe that your legs are going to stand and they're going to hold you up, Where is your faith? There's miracles that happen every day. There are acts of God that happen every day. And this movie, Kookv Miracle, you can go check it out. It's based on a true story here. This really happened. It's based out of Wyoming. There were 2 people that wanted to go and bomb this elementary school. And they were threatening, give me $2 million for every student. Time's a ticking here. You don't come back at a certain time, I'm going to start shooting, And there was an accident that went on. The bomb detonated. And there were so many things that happened in that movie. There were so many orchestrations that happened. It was an act of God here. I mean, this man, he successfully detonated bombs before, and it went perfect to perfection. You can't tell me that he purposely cut his own wires, or there were so many things that happened that has to tell us that there's no way, somebody who's professional at understanding bombs, and if they go and say there's no way that these people should be alive right now, the whole school should have been done, everyone inside of that school should have been dead, You can't tell me that in a classroom, a bomb being detonated, and all of these children were alive, and things being, thrown all across the room. Nobody got wounded by shrapnel and, pieces of lead or anything like that. They were all alive. And in this movie, these children were saying how they were seeing all of these white things, these angels in this room. And the angels saying, go stand over there by the window and you'll be okay. Go stand by the window and you'll be okay. You can't make this up here. And there's a police officer, he was on duty, but he was purposely, out of town for a reason. That man had no faith here. That man had no faith in God here. And he probably would have screwed it up and got orchestrated so that this police officer was away from that school, because he had 2 children in that school. Can you imagine how angry you'd be knowing that your kid was in a harmful situation? You'd go to fight. You go to war for your children here. You would go show up and you would go to war and do whatever it is that you could to reach your child. But anyways, this police officer, after all of this happened, the bomb detonated and, everything was going back to normal. And his children are finally being real and sharing what happened in that classroom. They were sharing, like, this is what happened here. I saw angels here. The bomb was going up instead of out and everywhere, And the angels were taking it up. Away from the children. Away from the teachers. But this police officer was going to so much trouble to try and, make up all the excuses. Not to believe his own children. Not to believe what was happening here. And it was getting his children and his wife was getting so frustrated. He was like, why can't you just believe this? Like, this was an act of God here. So then he starts investigating and talking to all these other people and even talking to other police officers and really trying to understand, the details of what went on in that classroom. And he found out that there's no way that the things that happened that strategically took place happened just by coincidence. There are no coincidences with God here. And even in my own life, you all know this whole kingdom marriage journey and the journey that I'm on here, the journey that many of us are on here. You can't tell me that, God goes and tells me a dream and he gives me a specific date. You can't tell me that, having my husband come to my house, my future husband come to my house on that specific day. You can't tell me that that's not a miracle. You can't tell me that. I didn't know. That date drove me nuts because I'm like, what's going on? Why was I told this date in this dream? Like, why? What's supposed to happen on this date, But then God was, having me reach out to him in faith. I don't even know. I was just moving in faith here. He didn't even know he was coming. But clearly God did. Clearly he did. You can't tell me that I can say a prayer in my mind. Like, okay, God, you want me to talk to him on the phone tonight? Then you have him reach out to me. If you want me to call him on the phone and talk to him, then you have that man reach out to me. He literally did it like 30 minutes to an hour later. He reached out to me after I hadn't talked to him the whole day. Are you trying to tell me that that's not a miracle of God? That's a miracle of God. You can't tell me that I can go and pray a prayer for and ask the Lord to send that man the exact dream, that I want him to send him. And I'm saying that in my mind, or even if it wasn't in my mind, that's a miracle. You can't tell me that that's not a miracle. In the book of Matthew, when Jesus is going to go and tell Peter, to walk on water here. Jesus walks on water and he wants Peter to walk with him. In verse 31, immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught Peter because Peter didn't have faith, And he was doubting. He says, you have little faith. He said, why did you doubt? Why did you doubt me? I'm walking on water here. Don't you see me? Can you imagine like what Jesus was thinking? But really, there is so many things that happen in our life. And why does it take so much for you just to believe? Why can't you just believe what you're being shown over and over again? Why does it have to take so much of you or so much for you to stop doubting what God is doing in your life and to stop doubting what God is showing you over and over again? Why do you have to doubt so much? Why can't you just have a little bit of faith here? I know you may have been disappointed in the past here, but God is doing a new thing here. He's doing a new thing in your life here, And when I was getting all of these downloads and information being thrown at me where I was just like, I was overwhelmed with information. I didn't know that God could be such a big God like that, You go and hear it through, through other people and the stories that they share, but then you never think that it can happen to you. You know, it's like you never think like anything will ever big happen to you. I mean, that's how I used to feel all of the time. I used to feel like I'm a nobody. Nothing big's ever going to happen to me. I'm not that great, you know? People don't care about me. They think I'm nothing, you know? Yeah, that's a lie. But God sure showed me. He sure proved me wrong. He sure proved me wrong. He turned me into somebody. That's how good he is. He picks you up when you're so low. And he starts showing up for you. And he turns you into somebody. He gives you purpose. He gave me purpose. You know, when he gives you a promise or when he shows you something, it's to give you hope for the future. It's to give you purpose so that you can finally wake up in the morning and have something to hope for. And he put that purpose inside of you. He gives you those, you know, those wants and desires that he keeps putting on your heart over and over again. He does that. He puts that on your mind and your heart for a reason. So when are you going to stop doubting and stop questioning and going back and forth about things? You got to start believing him and stop doubting so much. And I was just finding myself crying at that movie. Like, how beautiful that was. There's so many things that has happened in my life that act of God. It was an act of God that I could go into a 360 in the middle of a icy roads in the middle of an intersection. You can't tell me that I can just go into a 360 in an intersection and not get harmed, not hit one single car. There are probably angels all over me. You can't tell me that my car swerving all over a sandy, like a dirt road, my wheel was out of control. It was spinning everywhere. I was scared. I took my hands off the wheel here. And then the Lord led my friend to grab it, and it straightened out. You can't tell me that wasn't it wasn't an act of God. It was an act of God. It was his protection. There are so many things that he does, and he does it every day, and he protects people. No, we don't understand why things happen. Sometimes really bad things happen in our life. Sometimes it does. And sometimes it feels like it's not fair. I know some things happen and it doesn't feel fair sometimes. But I got to trust and know that God is going to bring something good out of every situation here. He's going to turn the bad things that have happened in your life. And he's going to turn something good out of it somehow. You got to trust and believe that. I know that because he's turned many really messy situations into something good, into something positive. It gave me strength to continue, you know? He gave me strength. It gave me wisdom. There were situations where I learned wisdom through it, you know? You learn by making mistakes, and then you just pick up and then you start moving forward. So, I don't know. I just wanted to come on here and just say, where's your faith? Get some faith. Start believing in what the Lord has shown you and over and again. Start believing. All right. You guys have a great evening. But I just wanted to come on here and encourage someone and just be real with my evening with y'all. And just tell you that, you know, God is really faithful. This whole journey has been a real messy journey for me. It's been messy. It's been very, very painful. But he finds ways to encourage me, to keep me here and to keep me going. And that's just his faithfulness. And that's just because he's such a loving father. That's why he does that. Because he loves me and he loves you. And he doesn't want you giving up on yourself. He doesn't want you giving up on the promise. He doesn't want you giving up on him. He wants to give you that green light. And when he does, he wants you to walk through that door. And he doesn't want you looking back. He doesn't want you looking back. He wants you to move forward. Because we're not going backwards. There's nothing for you there. In the past is the past. Leave it in the past. There's nothing for you there. We can't change things that happened in the past. We can't change it. We can only move forward into the path that God wants you on. And just to have faith. And just trust to know that if you are here at this very moment right now, you got to trust to know that if he brought you this far, that he's going to continue to stand by you. He's going to continue to help you. But you got to keep your eyes on him, though. You got to thank him. Thank him for that promise. Thank him for the things that he shows you. Because it gives you hope. Gives you something to hold on to. And he encourages you because he loves you. That's why. That's why. All right, you guys have a great night. See you next time.